using my phone to make this video because I have to make it easy for myself. Yesterday, this happened. So I was on my motorbike and a tourist who apparently thought that he could ride a motorbike properly hit me. And I'm grateful for my reaction, and I managed to hold the motorbike, but it hurt my wrist and my whole arm just hurts a little bit, not much. I'm sure I'll be fine soon. So, recently I talked about Venus in furs again on my Instagram to show how, well, some men put a woman on a pedestal first, and then they devalue her completely. So I will remind you, Venus in furs was written by the author, whose name is Masok. So that's the word masochism derives from his name. It's about this dominant woman named Wanda and a man, Severin, who wanted to serve her. So if you read this book, you already know that we can't call this guy a proper sub. So we will see that it's your typical guy, an addict, a masochist, who would say something like, "Goddess, I have no limits," who would tell you that he wants to be tortured and punished, and he would make you believe, if you are new to this, for example, or maybe he would make himself believe that it's all for you, that it's you are in charge of his destiny. He wants to be your slave, and obviously it has nothing to do with worshiping you. He doesn't care about you. He just wants this thrill. He wants to satisfy his self-loathing tendencies, self-harm behavior, because he's not interested in mutual connection. He's not interested in bringing any pleasure to this woman. He just wants what he wants. And he believes that, well, he is devoted to Goddess, right? To Venus. And he sees her, as he thinks, as some ethereal being. But again, he doesn't care about it. He just sees an opportunity to fulfill his needs. And after she actually does it, after she embraces the dominant role he encouraged her to embrace, he will devalue her completely and he will resent her because she actually did what he wanted. That's very interesting. So, and that's not the main part. To me, the main result of it, and that's at the end of his life, he becomes like a full-blown misogynist. He says that now he understands the whole feminine sex, and he believes that we should all get back to patriarchy and men are supposed to dominate. I saw it, I have this first-hand experience, and I'm pretty sure that lots of women will relate to it. And it refers both to subs, to non-subs, it doesn't matter. At first, they admire you, they worship you, and after some time, and it doesn't matter if you fulfill their fantasies, and show them the side of themselves they were looking to actually discover, or if you didn't fulfill their fantasies, it's a very, the line between fulfilling and not fulfilling their needs is very thin, because the whole, this emotional craving that comes from quite a deep trauma that you will never be able to fill in. So that's a very, you can't even define, because from your perspective, you've done a lot. But from his, he's always a victim. It's always like it's not enough. you will never be able to do this because it's just like a black hole. It sucks in everything. And that's exhausting. Having this kind of man around you, it's exhausting, okay? And that's the danger of masochism, because mostly masochists are covert narcissists. And one of the main traits of a narcissist is to put you on the pedestal, okay? Because they often live in this dichotomy, yeah? He is a worm who is unworthy of any attention. He wants to be destroyed. He's nothing. Or he's God, okay? But this is what we see among regular narcissists. Covert narcissists, they would be on the worm side, okay? But still, like, somehow they know that they should belong to someone the best, right? So they would try to get attached to someone who is strong, full of energy. They don't want some, as we say in Russian, like gray mouse. They don't want something. They don't want someone regular, you know. They want a woman full of power, full of life, because they are also emotional vampires. So, getting back to the quality, yeah, one of the main qualities of narcissists, that they put you on the pedestal, and after that, very soon, they will completely devalue you. And they will bring the qualities that they worshipped in you, they will turn them into, well, something they would use to insult you. For example, let's imagine that you are a dom, yeah, you do something similar to what I do, and you start talking to a guy, and it doesn't matter, again, if it's a dating life or if it's a new sub, and he admires you, he says, I admire you for what you do. This is such a smart way to monetize your passion, okay? I love what you do. And then it flips, yeah? As soon as you, again, either you satisfy his needs and he sees himself under a different light, or you don't satisfy his needs, and often that's like kind of on the same line. And then he will say something, oh, you're just a sex worker, or you're just using men for money, or you just depend on men, or like what's good about you? You don't bring actual value to the society. All these phrases, they usually come from the same man who said that they worshipped you before, okay? That's a very interesting phenomenon. Then I asked a question on Instagram, yeah, why do you think men do this? Why there is so much conflict in their own feelings towards the same woman? And often it's not just one woman, often that's a pattern, okay? So, of course, we can say that it's not just men, it's human nature to value something we haven't obtained yet, and to devalue something that we already have. Yes. But now, since we're talking about men, I believe that there is so much more to that. Because you will also see these things throughout cultures and religions. Yeah, there is a spiritual aspect to this attitude as well, because, well, let's say the domain of psychology, yeah, like Madonna-Whore Complex, because often a man wouldn't marry a whore who he lusts. I know lots of women who just you look at them and they're full of this sexual energy. She looks like a witch. She looks so magnetic. You just want to take her or you want to allow her to do whatever she wants with you. Yeah, that's just like an immediate passion, that's a drive. But often men wouldn't marry such a woman because in their mind, that's a whore. They would marry someone like a Madonna, right? And then soon enough, they would realize that they don't want to have sex with her. So often, I'm not sure if it's changing or not. I believe that, well, it's less and less of actual unities, as far as I can see. But yeah, still, lots of men would marry someone they don't lust. It's just someone stable, someone who they think wouldn't cheat on them because they see a woman who's full of sexual energy, as if like she attracts all other men, and also as if it's something not noble. Yeah, they sense it. Another thing, as I said, well, something that belongs to human nature, to devalue something we have already. And another aspect is, like, let's imagine some prehistoric times and female religion. You come out of a woman is nature. You belong to nature. You are a part of it. But eventually, I believe that men felt suffocated by this absorbent female shapes, female nature. So eventually men wanted to separate themselves from the mother figure, from the mother goddess. They wanted to create something of their own. They wanted to finally come out of the womb. So they started creating, building the world. It's not a bad thing, okay? But I'm just talking about the dichotomy of this conflict in men's mind. So they constantly seek women's approval. They either want to own a woman or to belong to a woman. There is this huge obsession with a woman. Let's just think about all this phenomena like womb envy. Like, what is this? Freud wrote about women who are jealous of male penis, but I don't see it among women as much as the opposite, as womb envy. Like, all these religions are based on that, all male-centered religions. Yeah, that's very interesting. On the one hand, they want to separate themselves. They want to be separate individuals. But at the same time, they want to come back where it all started. And since I'm someone who often speaks about concepts like female leadership, or like leadership from the feminine, as I like to say, or the divine feminine, I just want you to understand that this is just a definition. Well, not a definition, yeah. This is just a set of words that create a certain image. That's why it's convenient for me. I see it as a tool. I don't think that you're supposed to follow it religiously. I think that it's an instrument. It's not a dogma. It's supposed to help and maybe explain in some certain female expressions with the concept of the divine feminine. It can be freeing. If you get stuck there like a little bit too much, it will be limiting. Because for me, what's female or feminine, it should relate to hormones, but we shouldn't strictly divide qualities into feminine and masculine. Another thing why I try to be quite careful about it is because sacralization of a woman, and I talk about it a lot, yeah, like if you watch my content, you know that I encourage men to see women like as a higher being. But I will explain a bit later, because it's not just that. So sacralization of a woman can be quite dangerous and absolutely not beneficial for a woman. Because they either see a woman as a higher being, right? Flawless. And again, that's another form of idealization, which will lead to devaluation. Or they see it, well, a woman is sacred, hence we have to protect her. And then they decide how to protect a woman. I believe that women should be protected because women are mothers, women bring new people to this world. But then it leads to something different, some different conclusions, you know? Women are weak. When we say, oh, women are emotional creatures, and then what? Women can't be logical? Oh yeah, of course, we all have masculine and feminine traits. And if you have masculine traits, that's your masculine, that's like all strict and logical. Fine, that's how you see it. Sometimes I can also think in the same direction. My masculine supports the feminine. I quite like it, okay? But at the same time, I can see how it can lead to something, well, again, that's not going to benefit women. Because you can easily say women are emotional creatures and we have to make decisions as men for them. It can be useful in some certain situations, but not on a regular basis. For example, a man who is scared of women's emotions is a weak man. And being scared of women's emotions means to completely avoid them, or when you also jump into the wave and you both become emotional. So ideally a man, well, should stay calm and shouldn't avoid her until she gets violent completely, because women are emotional creatures, right? Men are also emotional creatures. Okay, that's a different topic. I'm getting carried away. I want to share an example of my favorite poet. When I was at school and we started studying about this poet, his name is Blok. I was just fascinated. I loved his poetry. He's a symbolist, and I just found it so beautiful. And I remember that one day I didn't go to school because I collected all the material. Yeah, I didn't have the internet back then. And I just took all possible magazines, books about him. I copied that from my teacher. And I just stayed home. I didn't go to school so I could study everything. And I felt like I was falling in love with him. Of course, it was different when I was 16, 17. But anyway, his wife, Любовь Менделеева, that's the daughter of Dmitry Mendeleev. He fell in love with her. He saw her as someone perfect. Basically, like goddess incarnate. He didn't use these definitions, but in his poetry, he used this concept of the beautiful lady. It's a perfect image of a woman, someone untouchable, someone you can never obtain. So he married her to worship her. She was his muse. He wrote poetry because he was inspired by her presence. And then on their wedding night, he said, "No, Luba, I'm not gonna touch you. You are divine. I worship you. I'm not gonna have sex with you like as if you are some whore." And he didn't have sex with her. Like, imagine not being touched by your husband, not being able to enjoy physical pleasure, while you witness him go to brothels and sleep with prostitutes, simply because you're divine. This marriage was deeply unhappy. And, well, this example can tell you that often men don't see women as actual human beings. Men see women as a concept, as an idea. And it doesn't matter which direction we look at, positive, negative, spiritual, physical, sacred, or if they hate women, that's always a template. And again, that might refer just to human psyche. We all project something we want onto other people. But I just find it a little bit more interesting, and then kind of like in a childish way in men, is if they, like, it's so hard for them. A woman is an idea, a woman is a fetish. A woman is not an actual human being. Because so many men fall into the trap when if they see a woman as a holy being, they don't want to see her human expressions. I can't even count how many situations like this I had in my life. Oh, and we can also say that, well, a man will devalue a woman because of post-nat clarity. That's also valid. As you know, lots of men would have sex with a woman on the first date, and then they would say, well, probably she's a whore because she slept with me on the first date. So somehow she is not worthy. Maybe she sleeps with other men all the time on the first date, or maybe that's because, well, he got what he wanted, and there is no chase anymore. And maybe if we follow this rule as women, like, oh, okay, we're not supposed to sleep with men on the first date, fine. But I also know lots of cases when that was disproven, okay? When a man chased a woman for months, he wanted her to become his. He worshipped her. He tried to earn her attention. And then when finally she started seeing him as, well, maybe he's actually deserving. Maybe that's the one. And she would get intimate with him, and after that, poof, ghost. My friend had this very interesting situation. It was long ago, but there was a man who fell in love with her, who said that he couldn't sleep, he couldn't eat. And every day he would try to do something to get her attention, to get her, well, to attract her, to prove it to her that she had to be with him. And after a couple of months, she just gave up. Eventually, they started living together. And unfortunately, it lasted just 1 month, because one day he said, "You're not the type of woman I fell in love with," because she showed her care inside. That's just an example. Because you might complain, as a man, that, oh, maybe he devalued her because she didn't give him what he craved, because she didn't appreciate him. That's a trap, okay? That's the trap of the mind, because if you don't get to know someone gradually, if you don't invest your time into a slow building of the connection, without this extremes, if you don't see the person for who they are, if you just want to find someone who fits the template that you created for yourself, well, that's going to be a disaster. Not a disaster, of course, because now these are very regular situations. They just come and go. I just find it, I'm just very curious about it, simply because it's on multiple layers on our life, on multiple levels. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comments. It's so interesting to see men's and women's opinions on the same topic, because often they're just so different. Our perception of the same things, yeah, can vary quite a lot. Follow me on my Telegram channel, on Instagram, on Twitter, on here, and wherever. And I wish you a good day. Bye bye.